What's the deal with Duncan Idaho returning in Dune Part 3? Jason Momoa appears in the Dune Part 3 trailer, but after we see his fate in the first Dune movie, how is that possible? Somehow, Duncan returns. This isn't simply a retcon by the Dune movies to bring back a big name attached to the first film. It's a carefully planned move, which could carry the franchise beyond Denis Villeneuve's Dune trilogy. The Dune universe has a group that can achieve what seems like the impossible, resurrecting the dead. The secret to how this is possible is deeply woven into the character of Duncan Idaho, written by Frank Herbert. If you fear spoilers, fear not. I'll provide spoiler warnings when the time comes. To understand what the deal with Duncan Idaho is, we need a quick recap of the character's written history. Frank Herbert only intended to write Duncan Idaho into the first Dune book. He was never meant to be a character we ever saw again. But when his character was killed off, fans sent letters to the author, begging him to bring Duncan back, and in perhaps one of the most generous acts of fan service, that's exactly what he did. The first 3 Dune books, written by Frank Herbert, were seen as one complete book in the author's head. The story was outlined before the release of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. Bringing Duncan Idaho back didn't affect the overall plan of the outlined Dune story that Frank Herbert had mapped out at the time, so it was more of a kind gesture to the fans. He returns in Dune Messiah, the second book, but who was this character that everyone wanted back? How and why does he return? The secret lies in the details. Duncan grew up on the hostile planet of Giedi Prime, but he was rescued from the Harkonnens by Duke Paulus Atreides, Leto's father. Experiencing a radically different way of life among the Atreides, surrounded by honor and chivalry, he began to serve them on Caladan. He was then sent to train on the oceanic world of Ginaz, similar to Old Earth, to become a Ginaz swordmaster, which he successfully achieves. This is the first clue to his fate. Ginaz is an Arabic word meaning a funeral bier or stretcher, the structure used to carry a dead body to the grave, specifically when a body rests upon it. And it comes from the root word janaza, which is related to an Islamic funeral prayer. The exact form Ginaz seems to be used more prominently among the Christian Arabs to describe a specific church funeral service, a requiem mass called Ginaz al-Arba'in, which is the memorial service held exactly 40 days after a person's passing to pray for their soul. So the planet Ginaz is the system which produces a high caliber of killers, swordmasters of universal renown. Seeing as though Frank Herbert calls Duncan Idaho a swordmaster of the Ginaz, this implies that he is a swordmaster of death, the sword that will carry you to the grave, should you be so unfortunate to cross its path. In Denis Villeneuve's Dune, we saw Duncan fall in a moving display of heroism, allowing Jessica and Paul to escape the dreaded Sardaukar. They say Sardaukar swordsmanship is said to match that of a 10th level Ginaz swordmaster, which is the highest level one can attain. This makes Duncan's last stand even more impressive, as he took out 19 Sardaukar before falling. But perhaps Duncan was always destined to die due to his links to the word Ginaz. It's no secret that Jason Momoa returns to the Dune franchise in Dune Part 3, as he was revealed to new fans without explanation in the teaser trailer. Whatever you thought of his character, love him or hate him, he's back.
Look who's back from the dead.
But he's no longer called Duncan. He has a new name, which was revealed in the released character posters. But why the name change? And how does he actually come back from the dead? The way Duncan returns almost fits exactly with his link to the word Ginaz. Moving forward, this video will contain spoilers for the book, Dune Messiah, and Dune Part 3 potentially, so if you do not wish to be spoiled, you can check out another video of mine. When Duncan falls, a Sardaukar commander recognized the Ginaz swordmaster of the Atreides amongst the dead of his slain men. Knowing that he had to act fast, he had Idaho's corpse preserved for the arrival of an axolotl tank, and immediately sent the preserved flesh of Duncan Idaho's body to the Bene Tleilaxu aboard a highliner. So this axolotl tank, or the highliner, can be seen as the Arabic Ginaz, or structure by which Duncan's body was transported after death. Duncan Idaho's destiny was written into the character in more ways than perhaps even the author himself ultimately intended, or perhaps he benefits here from the richness of the Arabic language. The Bene Tleilaxu are a people who use technology to manipulate genetics and produce bioengineered beings called Gholas. One of their other creations being the face dancers, like Skytail, who have the ability to shapeshift. They regrow cells in axolotl tanks that act as artificial wombs. These Gholas are based on an Arabic word for a demonic spirit or jinn, another Arabic word used in the Dune books and heard in Dune Part 2.
Don't ever listen to the jinn.
The jinn?
Jinn, desert spirits.
Ghola is the feminine form of Ghul in Arabic, the same Ghul used in Ras al Ghul for the popular villain in the Batman comics and films.
Am I pronouncing this right? Mr. Ras al Ghul?
But why use the feminine form of the word? Paul studied Idaho, marking the feline movements, the swiftness of reflex. We often associate femininity with felines, so it's interesting how Frank Herbert uses the female tense of the Arabic word for ghul or demon. In Dune Part 1, Duncan says in admiration of the Fremen that they fight like demons. Ironically, he becomes a demon, a ghul, who retains his feline grace, thus becoming a ghola, the feminine tense of the word. Is this mere coincidence? Frank Herbert seems to demonstrate time and time again that he had a pretty good grasp of Arabic terminology and uses it well throughout Dune. Duncan Idaho is regrown from his cells in an axolotl tank and becomes much more than a recreated being. He more or less becomes Duncan 2.0, an upgrade, trained as a Zen Sunni philosopher and as a mentat. The Fremen are Zen Sunni, it's like a school of thought, so he is now a master of Fremen philosophy as well, something he might have eventually become if he had more time with the Fremen, due to his admiration of them, perhaps a wish fulfilled beyond the grave. Despite these new skills, there's a catch. He cannot remember his previous life, only vague feelings or faint memories. This is a problem that all Ghola clones have. This Ghola grown from the cells of Duncan Idaho is given a new name, Hayt. The name Hayt was chosen for him by the Tleilaxu because he's meant to be a tool in a plan to overthrow the Emperor. He's disguised as a gift for Paul. They deliberately give him metallic eyes to remind Paul that he is a Tleilaxu creation. The name Hayt itself is meant to be a play on words and sound like the word hate, showing a tragic irony that Paul's fallen friend comes back to life, only to destroy him. Ironically, the word for life is hayat or hayatun with a silent T in Arabic. Perhaps this too was also a deliberate play on the spelling of the word to symbolize Hayt's return to life. So Hayt is the combination of these masculine and feminine qualities: love and hate, death and life, body and spirit, human and inhuman. Jinn, Ginaz, Ghola, Hayt or Hayat. Are these Arabic links mere coincidence? It doesn't seem so. Frank Herbert was quite knowledgeable when it comes to Arabic terms and the meanings behind them. So it seems the character of Duncan was deeply influenced by Arabic and Arabian folklore. With Duncan Idaho's salvaged body and cells, the Tleilaxu can regrow as many Duncan clones as they want.
Begun. The Clone War has.
Are we going to see a Clone Wars in Dune? No, we aren't. But spoiler alert for the God Emperor of Dune book and beyond. You've been warned. We do see more than one Duncan being recreated for the God Emperor in the 4th book, and he returns in the later Dune books as well. Now that's what I call fan service. And I hate to say it, but people might think that Dune is copying Star Wars, when it's actually the other way round. You'll have to forgive me for the hate puns. As Hayt, his makers say that he tells the truth. This is not because he is a mentat, but because he is Zen Sunni, a philosophy which Paul wants Hayt to teach him. His mentat skills are supposed to appeal to Alia, so that she finds him intriguing. Again, this is all linked to the plot to overthrow Paul. He wasn't meant to merely be a physical weapon, but a psychological one, to attack from within and from all angles. Jason Momoa is meant to be the face of the Dune franchise, whether you like it or not, because he's pretty much the only character that returns more than once. and we could see him or a younger lookalike return as Duncan Idaho in more than one movie after Dune Part 3, should they choose to continue the Dune cinematic universe. But what do you think? Is Dune Part 3 the last we'll see of Duncan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check out some of my other Dune content or some of my other popular culture videos here.